So a few weeks ago, I made this trap slash hip hop beat, and I decided to improvise on top of it. I recorded many versions of this improvisation on violin, and this is the one that I like the most.
Okay. Love my fish tank. That sound in the background is so pleasing and soothing to me. Trust me, I fall asleep real quick to it. Um, it looks like there is a lot of shit going on with the. All right, let me X out the music. There's too much shit going on. That's probably why. Because I got buffering. If you got buffering, that's probably why people leaving. Either way, I'm gonna be very quick with this. Gotta agree with what President Trump did, pulling the trigger. I find that to be. Let me start from here. Some of you will, be in your position, right? God, I'm getting work emails right now. It's distracting me. I probably should have waited. Some of you don't have service people in your family. Some of you don't have a legacy of service people in your families dating back to Civil War, Korea, World War One, World War II, any of those things. I do. I come from a legacy of war. You know, I come from profitability due to war. So I agree with the mission statement or Trump pulling that trigger or planning this strategic hit. You must take out the head in order to quail a snake. And if Suleiman was the head, then he was the one that needed to be taken out. And it's not just that he was the head of the Iranian forces that are out. You know what I'm saying? He was the head of forces, the extra forces. Kind of like America produced ISIS and Al Qaeda. Iran produced the opposite of the opposition. So, dude was the top. Dude was Osama bin Laden. He was Muammar Gaddafi. He was Saddam Hussein, except for being the leader of the country, Iran. He basically was the man who implemented foreign policy for over 10 years now. You can't turn away from that. And if our CIA, which a bunch of you black folks would be like, oh, you know, Federal Bureau of Investigations and all these other people have been watching and monitoring and listening and you know, all in your secrets here in America. What the hell you think they doing across the globe? You don't think they got interpreters and spies and snitches and informants inside these terror cells and things like that are feeding them information and helping them to produce an intel picture? You don't think that they knew that this is the guy that's been getting us killed? I'ma get him. And especially to send the message to Iran, like, listen, we don't want a major escalated war. I don't want to fight with you like that. It's stupid. Why don't you not make nuclear missiles, right? America being a bully. And I'm not going to lie. America's being a bully. I don't think they should be out here controlling who can create nuclear technology. I just think they should make sure that they park those fucking nuclear guns right next to them and say, shoot me if you want to, bitch. But that's what submarines are for. Either way, you can't control a technology that's just out there. I know what nuclear technology is and how to make it work to produce energy. I also know how to make nuclear technology applicable for destruction. This shit is all over YouTube. So if you want to watch those videos, you can too. You feel me? Plutonium, uranium deposits, all these things are on YouTube. So I don't agree with America policing nuclear technology for energy. Being a bit mad if people are making missiles. Well, yeah. Because now we're under threat. And that's what the whole goal is. But the problem is when you're an empire and you're trying to implement your empire's rules, regulations, and structures and all that, well, you got to face opposition. People are opposed. You know what I mean? The people will rise. The people always rise up against tyranny or oppression or subtle oppression. Governments, society, all these things fail because they forget about the people. But I got to sit back. I really got to sit back and say I agree with the targeted hit. Y'all have never buried a service member that was killed in any of these recent wars. If you buried a service member in the last 15 years that was killed in a militia or during a militia in Syria, Saudi Arabia, in Iraq, or any of these other places, right? Dude is probably responsible for it. The last leader that was responsible for these things was a little fat, one-eyed guy in Iraq. They killed him too. Gaddafi. At the end of the day, this is global politics. And they caught my man slipping. And he was going to visit a friend, from what I hear in intelligence. So I don't like Donald Trump. He's a racist. I'm from New York City. He's talking shit about the Central Park 5 and them motherfuckers was innocent, and he still hasn't to this day apologized for his racial rhetoric that caused these type of racial tensions that exist here in New York City. But I do agree when it comes to war strategies. A lot of people don't sit back. They don't watch war information that's being produced. I follow all the war and weapon channels on YouTube. I bet you a bunch of you people don't know that we just parked a shitload of F-22s in the Middle East. Y'all do know the F-22 is still like one of the top best airplanes that can't be detected. Putting them in the Gulf lets Iran know that we will, quietly blow all your shit up. Take out all your defenses from air, because that's what they do first. Make sure you have no air defense so that we can defend our people coming in on foot afterwards. This is how war strategy works. But when you're fighting proxy wars, you can't be as adamant about that. And so I think this was America being very blatant in saying, I got your guy that does these things to my folks, and I know he's the guy that did these things. We got the intelligence records of it. And so we're going to provide you a real good case. If someone has something to say about why I just blasted on homie and his team, I have a great case. I have the evidence. I have the CIA logs, I have the intercepted messages, I have the goddamn informants. I got everybody. That's how this stuff works. So I gotta agree with what he did. Sometimes you gotta pull a trigger. Some of you may be too weak to pull a trigger, but others aren't. And so if we're talking about killers, since I got Taylor White in my chat room on some suckery shit, I don't know what Danini is. But don't hide under a troll account and ask me for her. Show your face and go link up with her. You niggas is bold in chat rooms. Y'all not bold in real life. I don't know if y'all heard about the VS stuff. Pull up. No, don't come over here with your nonsense. Go over there. In fact, go to the chat room in which you are in agreements in accordance with that. I don't want to be a part of that because, listen, there's a lot of people that might face litigation due to the stupidity and the things that they're saying online. So at the end of the day, Taylor White, have fun. But don't ask me questions about other people in my chat room. I really kind of hate when people do that because, you sucker niggas won't ask them. Y'all come ask me. Now, all please, Donald Trump, regardless, works for America. And Boris works for England. That's the sad part about it. In fact, Germany and a lot of other European countries are going far right. But that's a whole political dynamic. Now, I meant to play, hold on, okay, maybe I got it. I think I got it. Because I want to play the heads of state talking about this. All right, yeah, let's play this real quick.
The international reactions to the U.S. killing of top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani are almost unanimous. Fear that it will significantly destabilize an already volatile region. Beijing, expressing serious concern, encouraged the countries involved to respect the principle of sovereignty.
China always opposes the use of force in international relations. We urge the relevant sides, especially the United States, to remain calm and to exercise restraint to avoid further escalating tensions.
A plea echoed across Europe. London and Berlin encouraged de-escalation, urging all parties to show prudence. France similarly said its immediate priority is stabilizing the region.
What is happening is what we feared. Tensions between the United States and Iran are increasing. So we need to create the right conditions to stabilize the region at the highest levels of government, with the Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian and the President. We're going to make contact with all the partners in the region because this could have a lot of consequences.
Russia condemned the U.S. move, calling it an adventurous step. The Kremlin warning it will only increase tension throughout the Middle East. Taking that concern even further, Iraqi caretaker Prime Minister Adel Abdel Mahdi called the strike an act of aggression against Iraq, ominously warning it will spark a devastating war.
Eerily stark that Russia would have something to say after Georgia and Ukraine, but what the fuck ever. See, I like to watch global politics and how people posture themselves and say, hey, this is going to cause a destabilizing conflict. None of you people are trying to engage in these things. And then when another country is bombed or attacked by somebody who's been claiming they want to bomb and attack this country since I don't know fucking whenever, then you're gonna say, well, where was the United States? At the end of the day, I know we got our whole ADOS and they give us reparations. At the end of the day, dumb shit is dumb shit. Dumb shit is dumb shit. A lot of people profit off of this political propagating while doing jobs and slides under the table. You look at how Israel had to go bomb the nuclear reactor in Iraq. France built the shit. France made all the money it could. They sold thousands of Renaults to Saddam Hussein. He also funded the whole thing, and Israel went in there and blew that shit to high heaven. France took their money and shut the fuck up. Global politics is tricky. Every now and then, us small minor peoples. Every now and then, these small minor peoples, like to say things, inject their opinion. Point is, we sitting down talking about we sitting down talking about Iran. Y'all didn't hear what North Korea just did yesterday? Kim Jong-un has taken off the moratorium that's self-imposed on long-range missiles and nuclear testing. We're not watching global politics. We would like to say and chastise President Trump. And again, I'm in accordance with chastising this nigga. I find him to be the funniest president that we've had in years. But I'm not going to condemn an action that I agree with. And this is one of those I agree with pulling the trigger. So they took 2 drones. They had 2 targets. They murked both of them motherfuckers as soon as they left the airport. Them cars looked disintegrated. And now I was listening, and they were Hellfire missiles. Dude said the ordnance was only 250 pounds. Took less than 500 pounds of ordnances to change the world dynamically, put people up in their grips. But wasn't nobody saying that when these cats was running and killing American soldiers. Now America retaliated. Y'all wasn't mad. Y'all wasn't de-escalate when people was blowing up oil tankers or holding oil tankers hostage. Wasn't nobody real adamant about that then. Saying de-escalate. They don't go to these small countries and say de-escalate what you doing. They want to go to the big guy and say, yo, please, man, don't start this war. And you gotta, from my point of view, from what I see, from what I read, from what I listen to, from the news reports that I obtain and listen to half of the day, because I don't listen to all this effed up nonsense that you cats is perpetrating on YouTube. I listen to real current events. That's why I'm up to date in knowing where we stand. I'm up to date in knowing that we just sent a nuclear-powered Nimitz aircraft carrier into the region, and they were patrolled and followed by the Iranian fast boats. There's pictures of this stuff. Iran just shot down a $100 million drone. Iran just coordinated a drone and bombing attack on a Saudi Arabian oil field. Y'all not mad that your oil price went up? Granted, America has sanctions on them. Why does America have sanctions on them? They're being a bully. We don't want you to do this whole nuclear thing. Chill out. All right? No, we're going to do it. Well, you're going to have problems. So defiance is defiance. It's like having a child who won't listen, And I'm just looking at it as America is a friend of Israel. Cool. And they just, want Israel to be safe. And Iran, for the last 30 to 40 years, has been talking about Israel will be wiped off the face of the earth. So what the do you think America is supposed to do? Where do you think they're getting all their military secrets, their technology? Who do you think is providing America with the technology and spyware that they have today? Who do you think spies on America the most? Israel. Who do you think America gonna protect? You got a country talking about we're gonna take this motherfucker off the face of the earth for the last 30, 40 years, and now they doing proxy nonsense and trying to develop a nuclear weapon. And if America is smart and doesn't want to spark something in the Middle East, Israel can't get away with blowing up a nuclear facility like they did in Iraq in the years that they did it. What was that, the 90s, maybe the 80s? In the 80s, beginning of the 90s? Can't do that. They can't do that right now. all the Arab nations going, you know what I mean? Everybody's weapons have been developed. They got bigger guns, bombs, drones. Israel will be under attack 24/7. And they're America's friend. They're America's launch pad into the Middle East. Their strategic placement along with Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Donald Trump had to do what he had to do. It's either do that or lose the morale of your soldiers in the area. It's do that or lose your Republican Party for being weak as a warmonger. It's do that or just be looked at as a bitch, because they've been fucking with us for quite some time. They just stormed an embassy in Iraq. What did you think was going to happen? Where do you think all of this stuff was about to head and go? These people are playing with each other. These people are power. Ain't none of the Ayatollahs, them niggas ain't broke. They not the suffering Iranian people, just like Donald Trump and the rest of them ain't the suffering us here in America. No, they are the ones who play with the things that make big money. Do you know it probably costs $150,000 to fire the missiles? Not even fly the planes, because you still got to fuel the planes, pay the pilot, service the plane, make sure it can fly there. It's like $200,000 when we launch a goddamn plane. I forgot how much millions it is per day to have an aircraft carrier in the ocean. We don't even consider half of the military budget that is spent into ensuring that this shit is operational, that we can even do this here in America. So I'm in accordance with this. Wars are meant to be fought. Gold is up today. I made some money on gold, but I lost a lot of money on everything else because the stocks just went to shits. What was the breaking point that was different? An American contractor was killed in Iraq during one of these protests recently. They were killed by an Iranian-backed proxy militia. It is also said that this man, they have signal intelligence that says he was preparing for another attack via militias. So if you do follow global politics, you understand that the Iranian-backed militias exploded 2 Saudi oil tankers recently. You understand that they also attacked in a two Saudi Arabian oil producing facilities recently. You'll also understand that they are chastising and holding boats inside the Gulf of Aden, I forgot what it's called. So Iran has been poking and prodding at America sidely for quite some time. Shia militias, Iran, they got the Shia and the Sunni. I think Iran is the Shia. Most of Iraq is Sunni. Them niggas been at war forever. And we got in the middle of it. We just killed the blind sheik in Iraq. We just murdered him not too long ago for planning attacks against American soldiers. Why do you think a fucking general is off limits? Because he's the general? Oh, because he's famous? No, they catch you outside slipping. Y'all forgot what happened at Benghazi when they killed I3 CIA personnel? Because they murder our people too. And it's politicized. President Trump talked about Benghazi like it was crazy. But see, he couldn't be in that position of Benghazi, so he had to do something because Republicans and conservatives are still talking about Benghazi. He had no choice but to pull the trigger because then he would have been looked at as weak. Like they still try to call President Barack Obama weak for Benghazi. They don't call him strong for killing Osama bin Laden or making sure that Muammar Gaddafi in their eyes is gone. They hate saying niggas. They ain't praising him for that. They chastise him for Benghazi, but they praise President Trump for I don't know how many other fucking diplomatic failures. Today I can't tell him he had a diplomatic failure. Today I think he sent a diplomatic message. We ready for this. And I think America is. Y'all should take some time and look up where all of these American army bases are located. China's nervous because they call it the Ring of Fire. Russia's also nervous because, well, it's still the Ring of Fire to them as well. The Middle East is plagued with American facilities to create war. I want some of y'all to think of where Iran sits geographically. Y'all think this shit was something that was planned today or last week? We've been ready to hit Iran since 2003, maybe 2004. What two countries have American forces invaded and fought in the last 20 years? Specifically in the Middle East. What two countries? You don't got to answer. I'm going to help you. Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, all of you fun people with Google Maps on your phone, when I'm done, because I'm going to hang this up in a minute. Got to clean up some more, get another shot of something. Call my lady over so I can rub on her belly and then do some freaky things. Whatever. Look what country is in between Iraq and Afghanistan. I'll help you. Iran. So if we were to start a war with Iran, guess what they would have to fight? You know it's the hardest war to fight? See, I study military strategy, and this is why Hitler was successful initially in the beginning of World War I and then failed at the end. You never, ever, ever want to fight a two-front war. Iran is in the middle of Afghanistan and Iraq. You're going to be fighting a two-front war. Granted, we're still in Afghanistan. The Taliban are trying to negotiate a removal of our soldiers, but we're still in. Small ties in Pakistan, a little bit more ties in India. But we're not too far from devastation on a two-front position against Iran. This shit is in the future. Some might even tell you it's biblical, Gog and Magog. I don't know. Better get back in that book. Still in all, this is not small potatoes. These are planned events. These are things that were destined to happen. You put people under pressure, they react. But then you cause situations through your reaction, and then you find out that somebody a little bit more powerful is not as scared as you thought they was to pull the trigger. Trump is reckless. I'm shocked he didn't take out the air facilities that took out the drone. But he damn sure took out the general who's been planning attacks. And I think he did that as a sign to not just to Iran. I don't think that was a sign to Iran. That's definitely an international trigger pulling. See, World War I was started due to somebody being assassinated. We could be following the same path of history. However, I think that message was just laid that your generals and your diplomats and all these other people are targets, especially when they are planning in part of these type of operations. I just hope that I'm giving y'all a little bit of insight into some global shit, because I am always into this. As much as you catch me around the sectors of YouTube, outside of that, this is my shit. Global dynamics, global studies, the psychology of it all, the implementation of strategies and how strategies have been in play for years. At the end of the day, I'm going to give Freedom Crimes a shout out, because she said she was from Scotland. She was from Scotland. You tuned in. And I'm going to tell you one of my favorite commentators. He creates the mother of all talk shows, a.k.a. Mr. George Galloway. I believe he was also a representative in the parliament over there in the UK. He is a very intellectual man to listen to and give you some information based on the liberal side of agenda. He is probably more anti-war than I ever am, but great man to listen to. I think y'all should look into this more. Don't jump to judgment. I know we got a whole anti-Trump thing going on in this country. However, I don't think he was wrong with this one. That's just my take. Definitely just my take. And I hope I presented a valuable stance in my presentation. Other than that, I think I'm going to play a song and we can get on up out of here until I decide to come back live later, because then I'll be on some real messy stuff. There's some stuff going on in these sectors regarding men and children, SYBMs, and just black people in general arguing with each other over nonsense. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some reckless stuff a little bit later. But for right now, just consume what I said. Just consider that, you know, he ain't your president, but he was right in his move today. And you still have the opportunity to find and see your own perspective and objective of what happened and how you feel about it. A lot of people are saying, man, Iran's going to respond. And a lot more people are saying they're coming after New York. Please stop saying that shit. I'm in fucking New York. I would like to ride the train in peace. I don't want to look at my Arab brothers and sisters funky. They like right down the street from me right now. I'm good. Like, can I eat my goddamn shish kebab without feeling awkward out this bitch? Still in all, I just think, you know, people ain't watching global politics like they should be. Oh, AKA, they are not protesting, celebrating in the streets because of this death. Just want y'all to know that shit, right? They are celebrating in the streets because of this death.
Boy, tell me what you've been waiting for. You've been holding back, but I've been needing more. And I know that you like to tease me, but right now I just want you to please me. 'Cause I've been waiting. It's too bad you couldn't reach me, reach me, reach me. I was one call away from giving you all of my loving. I was one call away from giving you all of my honey. Call me back, I won't miss it. Love ain't love with no limits. I was one call away, one call away. I don't mind waiting for you to come to me. My body's calling for you to take over me. Now don't hold back from pleasing me. Call me right back and I'll be leaving. 'Cause I've been waiting. It's too bad that you miss me, miss me, miss me. I was one call away from giving you all of my loving. I was one call away from giving you all of my honey. Yeah. Call me back, I won't miss it. Love ain't love with no limits. I was one call away, one call away.
And don't keep me waiting too long, 'cause you never miss your love until your love is gone. And don't keep me waiting too long, 'cause you never miss your love until your love is gone. And don't keep me waiting too long, 'cause you never miss your love until your love is gone. And don't keep me waiting too long, 'cause you never miss your love until your love is gone.
I was one call away. 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 I was one call away.